Hi, I'm Rob Greenwood, and within today's gear guide we'll be looking at the Montane Spine Jacket, named after their infamously awful spine race. The spine race itself presents an interesting set of challenges because you need something that's heavyweight enough to keep the rain and snow and slush out for day upon day upon day, but you also need something lightweight enough and breathable enough to be comfy on the move. And this winter in the UK has been the perfect test for this because it's been really variable. I've been out in sub-zero in the snow, but I've also been out in shorts and t-shirts on the hottest New Year's Day ever recorded. And so far, I'm really impressed. So the spine jacket will be obvious to the ultra running community who are all familiar with the spine race itself anyway. But we actually think that the relevance of the spine jacket extends far beyond that. And from a hill walking perspective, it's still an absolutely fantastic waterproof and breathable and exceptionally comfortable jacket. The cut is truly exceptional with amazing freedom of movement, which might make it of interest to climbers. However, the only downside is this super lightweight 13 denier face fabric, which is not the sort of thing that you want to be going near sharp rocks with anytime soon. So for the purposes of this video and the review, we're talking primarily to a running and a hill walking audience. So going back to usage throughout this winter, on those cold days, I've obviously used it to keep out either rain or snow and protect me from the wind. On those warmer days, I've historically favoured using windproofs over waterproofs because of the fact they're so much more breathable. But that's one of the things where the spine jacket has truly excelled because its Gore Active membrane is the most breathable I have ever used. And to this end, I've ended up leaving my windproof, my loved windproof behind, and taking this instead, because it's a simple single layer that will do both windproofing and waterproofing, as well as being really comfortable to wear. Now, whilst I'm focusing primarily on the men's, it's worth noticing that within our review on site, which you'll be able to find here, Bridget Glaister, who's doing the Dragon's Back later this year and has a fine pedigree of big rounds such as the Bob Graham and the Paddy Buckley, has also been using it, and there's a whole load of detail on her experiences of it throughout. So we've talked a bit about breathability. Let's move on to waterproofing. And ordinarily, the more breathable something is, the less waterproof it becomes. But the balance on the Gore Active really is exceptional. And I've been out for some absolute all-day sluicings and have managed to stay remarkably dry. The only caveat I always make is just that there's the big hole in the top and the big hole in the bottom. And you do obviously have to take care of yourself in terms of making sure that water doesn't come in through those two major design flaws. The only other thing to be slightly careful of as well within the spine jacket is that the pockets feature a mesh lining rather than a full waterproof lining. Now, this can be useful for venting, although, like I say, breathability for me hasn't been a huge problem. But what it does mean is if you do leave them open, rain will be able to just channel its way in, and that's worth being aware of before you go out. Another cool feature in terms of venting, which isn't something I thought was going to be that useful when I first saw it, is the small press stud here. And this has been useful because if you do want to leave on the jacket, but don't want it to unzip it the whole way down and have it all flapping around basically, this will help to keep it just subtly together. And it just makes for a much neater and less flappy experience whilst running. The other thing about Gore Active and its 13 denier face fabric is that it's a really soft and silent material. It's very comfortable to wear. Unlike your traditional maybe Gore Pro, which feels more like you're wearing chainmail or battle armour. So when it comes to weight, on our scales, the men's medium came in at 250 grams and the women's in size 10 came out at 210 grams, which is obscenely light for a Gore-Tex 3-layer shell. Now last year I reviewed the Montane Podium pull-on, which is an exceptionally light, even lighter than this, shell. However, what that lacks is this waterproofing and this breathability. And I think you'd be very hard-pressed to find something that matches it in terms of the weight versus that performance spec. Were there to be a downside of that lightweight, it's realistically durability. Now this isn't the most bomb-proof outer, but neither is it designed to be. It's designed with breathability in mind. And throughout this winter, and throughout those competitors in the spine race, the reports feel like they've been much the same, which is actually that for a lightweight jacket, it lasts incredibly well. The one thing I'd mention in terms of performance at least, is that like all waterproof jackets these days, if you want to keep the performance up, you do need to wash and you do need to proof it. When it comes to the cut, it is a slimline jacket and very fitted as well. And if you are doing something like the spine race, it could even be worth sizing up. I'm in a men's medium and it's close fitting. There's good length on the arms and there's also a neat, compact fitted hood. Around the cuff, there's a really simple elastication, which I've really liked, but is snug. And I know that Bridget, whilst testing, had problems in getting her watch through, which, if like us, you wear a watch the size of a small spaceship. Now, considering this is a lightweight jacket and brands often like to cut corners when shedding weight, one corner that Montane haven't cut is that of including a wired peak. And this, for me, particularly in the British Isles, where we get some grisly weather and some awful wind, is a real must, because it really helps to keep the elements out. And as far as features go, that's about it. One of the things we've liked about this jacket in many ways is its simplicity. But when you add into the mix the comfort, the breathability, and still maintaining that key level of waterproofing, the spine jacket's really hard to fault. And to that end, both Bridget and I have given it a double thumbs up. I'll be wearing it in the summer spine later this year, and Bridget will be wearing it in the dragon's back. And bearing in mind, we have plenty of other products that we could be using, and this is the one we've opted for. I think that speaks volumes.